The train may be cancelled. Just days ago, the RMT and the Train Drivers Union, ASLEF, declared more rail strikes for next month and June as well.
Yeah, the unions are accusing train operators of torpedoing negotiations. Simon Calder, travel guru, is here. Good morning.
Good morning.
Why are negotiations being torpedoed? Do we know?
OK, well, if you listen to the RMT, General Secretary Mick Lynch, he says that the train operators, and we're talking here about 14 companies, all of which are contracted by the government to provide train services. So forget franchising, all that stuff. Effectively, we've got a nationalised rail system with outsourcing. And the government is kind of behind the train operators' negotiations because ultimately whatever settlement it is coming out of your taxes and mine to pay for this because the finances are a right old muddle. The government is saying you've got to improve productivity because otherwise we can't afford to do this. And the rail unions are sort of saying, well, no, we've worked through COVID, we want to have a pay rise without any strings attached. And we think... And therefore, the deal that we thought we'd done, you've changed it at the last minute. The train operators say, no, we haven't. Over at ASLEF, Mick Whelan, Train Drivers Union, there's going to be a quiz at the end, Ellie, I hope you're paying attention. The Train Drivers Union, they say, we just want more money, basically. Oh, and by the way, you can't attach strings to that. So, effectively, we are pretty much where we were a year ago before we went into the first set of national strikes since the 1980s. And for us train travellers, I don't have a car, millions of people out there don't have a car, your train ticket is still a lottery ticket. You cannot plan more than 2 weeks ahead because that's the minimum length of time that the unions must say they're going on strike. So it's an absolute mess. And just to remind people about those dates, it's Friday the 12th of May, the day before the Eurovision final. That's the first day of the train drivers' strike. Following day, it's the RMT union, the main rail union. And then on the 31st of May and the 3rd of June, then it's the train drivers again. And if you're in Wales or Scotland, lucky you, partly because you're living in a beautiful country, partly because your trains are going to be largely unaffected.
Oh, dear. But are we safe to assume that for people travelling for the Coronation, so next weekend, as you just said, you need that 2 weeks' notice, the unions need to give 2 weeks' notice before any strike action, you're pretty much safe to head down to London on the train?
Yes, you are. Actually, this weekend is going to be pretty grim if you're trying to use the West Coast main line, particularly tomorrow. Frankly, I wouldn't bother. If you're going to beautiful Blackpool, then it looks like the bus or the car. And next weekend, everything is going to be working normally, sometimes better than normally, with extra trains being put on, for instance, early in the morning from Cardiff to London Paddington. And the only kind of major engineering work is closing one half of Victoria Station, which affects the main line to Gatwick and Brighton. But there's another way you can go to London Bridge. So it will be fine. We just don't know how the transport system in London will stand up to it because we haven't had a coronation for quite a long time. There's more of us than there used to be.
Yeah, no, it's going to be chaos, I should think, isn't it? In terms, why is it that it now seems to be a point where you just dread having to go anywhere in this country, don't you?
Yeah, well, look, it's very, very easy with so many aspects of modern life these days just to think, oh, it's terrible, things are much worse than they used to be. Well, I can reveal exclusively, being much older than both of you put together, that actually this is pretty much the best of times for travellers.
Do you think?
Yeah, I mean, actually 2019 was the best year.
Oh, now that's an interesting spin.
Yeah. But no, it's fantastic. You can travel to more places for better value in greater safety than you've ever been able to. And the trains are better than they have been when they're running.
Yeah.
They are. Honestly, trust me, I remember British Rail and their sandwiches.
Yeah. Are we just getting really impatient then? Expecting too much?
No, I don't think it's unreasonable to expect that the trains for which fare payers pay a lot of money, for which taxpayers pay a heck of a lot of money, and most of them don't go near a train, it's not too much to expect that those should run in a sensible way, and that kind of binds the nation together. But in terms of going abroad, look, it's purely in terms of safety. It has never been safer than now. We've got the safest airline in the world, Ryanair. Second safest airline in the world, EasyJet. Fantastic.
Really? Is that
Yeah,
how it
in
works
terms of
out?
the number of passengers flown without a single fatal accident, it's quite extraordinary how well served we are by our airlines. British Airways, very safe, Jet2, etc. All fantastic airlines. So that's good. And everything else after that, well, it is a terrific time to be a traveller. It's going to be even better probably by about a year's time, because then all the airlines will have come back, the fares will have come down, and hopefully the train strikes might be over.
The disputes are sorted. And for people heading out on the roads this weekend, I mean, we already saw a lot of traffic yesterday, didn't we?
Yeah,
What can people
actually,
expect?
last night, late afternoon, early evening yesterday was pretty horrible for a lot of people. That was predicted by the RAC. And from now on, there's going to be a bit of a rush coming back Monday afternoon, bank holiday, of course. But it's largely going to be dependent on how nice the weather is. And since it looks like being very pleasant, then probably lots of people will be going for days out, in particular to the seaside. So that could get quite busy. Really good time to go by train as long as your line is running.
All right, with the weather being nice, Simon, it's nice barbecue weather.
Yeah.
Who is best at barbecuing, Mr. or Mrs. Calder?
Well, that's irrelevant, because we don't do any barbecuing. You need a nice big garden to barbecue. I live in London and don't quite benefit from that. But no, the only barbecuing worth doing is when you are on a Trans-Africa overland truck and you have this fantastic cook, and he or she will just be organising everybody and everything, and that's the kind of barbecuing you need. So head for Africa. Yeah.
Right, well, it sounds very nice.
She.
Yeah, of course.
So,
yeah.
So it can be anybody.
The gender is
You're not going to
relevant.
pick sides.
It's skill and expertise and experience. That's what you need.
Yeah.
Oh, there you
you go. Well, it might get you talking.